any mic. No mic was there a while ago, so now the mic is on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, well, good evening, and thank you so much for joining me on the what's it? Cornerflex. Cornerflex. Move away from the talking sip because of course, the different issues regarding the terminologies. But tonight is Cornerflex. I'm going to have my guest, Mr. Michael Ramsay from Talk AI Global. We're talking about empowering our people with artificial intelligence, and I believe that is so very important at this time. We're talking about Black History Month, and with Black History Month, there's much talk about empowerment, not just about making a momentum as well. But I'm going to go straight and further into it. But before I go any further, I just want to raise my voice in regards to this young man here, Marcus Fakena. Marcus Fakena, this young man who has touched many people in the UK. I mean, this young man went to Dubai with his family and had a sexual relationship with a young lady, and apparently she was underage, and as a result of that, he was incarcerated in Dubai because of their laws. Of course, it would have been okay and legal in the UK, and he was supposed to be incarcerated for a long time, but there's been a lot of pressure on the Dubai, and I think he got pardoned, and he was just released just 3 months ago in the UK, and and last night we just heard that he what has happened, that he has was in a car accident, and based on that car accident, he passed away. The driver didn't. The driver's been arrested. But one of the things about this young man is because he's very young and almost the same age as my son. But there was just something about it, whereby you did not. I was saying to myself, it would have been good to hear his voice, good to hear what he has to say, good to hear something about what was it like, what was his experience, and something whereby he can somehow speak to young men, young people, as to what he has learned, and I'm sure the parents must is feeling it, being to the fact that he was without them for a while and then he just came back. So we don't know what happened, but all I can say is, you know, may soul rest in peace, and my condolences to the family as well, and just my appeal to young people as well. Just be careful at the same time, wherever you are in the UK, and peace out. But anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna bring in Mr. Michael Ramsey from Talk AI Global, and then we'll just get the roll going, and just talk about this thing. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Hey, Michael. Good evening. How are you doing?
How are you doing, SYLBOURNE?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me this Saturday evening.
And thanks again for having me.
Yes. And I want to say, just want to welcome the people who are on Instagram, those who are on YouTube, those who are on Facebook, and of course, the Overflow on TikTok. I want to thank you, those on TikTok, for coming on. Good as, and all the different persons there. This is a stream, but the main thing is on YouTube. That's where you can see the great and lovely face of Michael, not my face. You know, you don't want to see my face, otherwise I can see Michael. As we have this discussion, and the discussion is about empowering our people with artificial intelligence. But before I go any further, I just want to say that Michael is the founder and CEO of Talk AI Global. I help, as he said, he helps ambitious business unlock six-figure value through strategic AI implementation. He's author at AI for Business Leaders and 10 Steps to AI Mastery. And he speaks on all strategy for business leaders, the future of work with AI, real world AI use cases. And one of the things is AI is somewhat a word which some people find exciting and some find daunting. Michael, I don't know what way to start. AI. I know we have discussed this already, but it's like a new thing for each time somebody hear it. So let's start from scratch, if anything. What is AI? What is artificial intelligence?
Okay. All right. So artificial intelligence is the process of using computer programs
Mm.
to do tasks normally performed by human beings.
Yes.
Simple put.
Really.
Yes. Simple
That's
as
all.
that. Using computer programs to do tasks normally performed by human beings. That is
And
where the
what?
artificial element of the intelligence comes from. We as
Yes.
human beings have natural intelligence,
Mm.
and we have devised systems to give computers artificial intelligence.
So when we say artificial, artificial means it is not real. Artificial.
It's artificial in that it's not human. It's not
Okay.
natural intelligence.
Okay. So,
It's
but at
not
the same,
created by the creator.
yeah, but at the same time, I'm
Mhm.
gonna play devil's advocate here. No, I'm not devil's advocate. I'm gonna play Jesus advocate. Not created by the creator, but the creator created the people that created the AI.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going, Silver. But
Yeah.
yes, so artificial intelligence is primarily that, right? You can break it down a bit further,
Yes.
but to simplify things, it's about using computer programs to do tasks normally performed by human beings. If you
Yes.
look at think of anything that we're trying to use AI to do. There are things normally performed by human beings.
Hmm. And and one of the things, let's say human beings are having this engagement now with artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Some people are having a sense of resistance to it. What is this resistance somewhat deemed to be unfounded, or is it founded?
Um, every technological advancement normally have people who adapt it at different rates.
Mm,
So it's expected that with something as significant and as which comes with so many risks as well as opportunities, people naturally should have an aversion towards it until they understand exactly what it is and how it operates. So it is people like myself duty to educate the public so that they can understand exactly what AI is, what it
yeah.
isn't, so that they can prepare themselves to work and live in an environment where AI it becomes the norm.
I
So
want, yeah, go on.
when
Sorry,
you
go
look
on.
at it, Silburn, right? This is not the first technological revolution, right? It's major and it's probably going to be the largest we have ever had. But
Yes.
we have had other technological advancement over the past thousands of years.
Mm,
And what you normally find is that people who delay adopting it, they usually face the consequence of it. So, but at the same time, it's not just about jumping into something without understanding. Because as I said, many elements of AI is being hyped. So I
yeah.
understand why many people in the public would consider it to be overhyped. But based on what I know and what is to come, it's something that you can't ignore.
And one of the things also about AI is the fact
Mhm.
that it is a tool which is used to help to equip and to develop from where we were to where we are now. And I go back to what you said. When people do not engage into something initially, they sometimes get left
Mhm.
behind. I remember when Facebook came out, and I remember lots of people didn't want to go on Facebook because they say it's the devil's zone and blah blah blah. You see, they sneakily are on Facebook now. Of course, Facebook has moved off, and now people are onto Instagram as well, whereby we are seeing these are aspects of AI, isn't it? At the same time, the workings of these platforms, isn't it?
Um, I see the connection you're making in the sense
Yeah,
that these these platforms they had so much benefit, although they are downside. So many people had their aversion to it because they didn't understand it, while others went on it early and they profited from using
capitalize on
such
it. Yeah,
platform,
yeah,
right? The difference with artificial intelligence versus other technology is that while previous technologies such as electricity it 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 um it it focus on one element in terms of it's giving you power, right?
Yes.
When I think of the internet, you're getting access to a lot more people.
Yes.
Now, when you think about artificial intelligence, it's not just one dimension. It is looking at how can I mimic the behavior and by extension the work that is done by almost every single individual.
Yes.
So that is the reason why it is different from all these other technologies, because many people have resisted using Facebook and they're doing quite fine.
Yes.
Right? In all honesty, right? Many people are doing quite fine without using Facebook. Many people have profited from it, I'll admit that. But with something like artificial intelligence now, computer programs are being designed to do everything. Even what we're doing right now, which is having a conversation, there are programs that are out there right now that have been designed to have podcast like conversations. And
go on. Sorry, yeah.
no, you can continue.
One of the things which is very interesting, as you say, is
Mhm.
develops, because like in a platform like TikTok, and they use a word which you're going to be familiar with when I say it, algorithm. Algorithm is like one of those keywords which many people use to say the algorithm, and sometimes they say touch on that heart there, because when you touch on that heart, it shows it's a real people and it's not a bot. But then I thought about it and say, hang on a second, that means to say if they are using artificial intelligence or whatever to create those bots, won't they create a bot that can touch that thing at the top to show that it's like a human? Mean to say it's always creating something, isn't it?
Yes,
Finding out gaps. Yeah.
the thing is that's the difference with this technology, is that it will continue to evolve quite rapidly, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
we jumped into it, Silburn, but I'm going to take a step back because
Yes,
we
please.
started by defining what AI is. But
Yes.
but most of the conversations we're having now about AI really began roughly 3 years ago, right? It was
Yes.
around this time, 3 years ago, OpenAI released ChatGPT. You remember?
Yes.
Right? And then within a very short time, they had 100 million users.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, many companies normally took quite a while to get there. I believe they got there in like 18 days or something like that. We can fact check that. Maybe someone in the chat can fact check
Yeah.
it. But they got adoption really fast. And that is because of what people saw that the technology could do for them. And they have continued to scale since. And because of that one piece that came out, a lot of money, not billions, trillions of dollars over the past 3 years have been pumped into this space to improve these LLMs and also to improve the efficiency of the compute. But
Mm.
let me simplify something, Silver, right?
Yeah.
Because AI has been around for roughly 70 years,
Yes.
So the concept of AI isn't new. But what has
So
changed,
you say it has been around for 70 years. The
the
principle.
concept
Okay. Yeah. The
and
concept.
different elements of AI, right?
Yes.
Because what we see now with Gen AI, that's one element of AI, right? But AI has been used. You talk about AI being used in algorithms, being used by Facebook and all these
Yes.
digital marketing companies for years.
Yes.
Google never put out their Bard or Gemini before Chat GPT, they have been profiting from that technology for years,
Yes.
right? They have been using it to determine um, who to show what ads to. They have been using AI to make a lot of money for years. But let me tell you why it has gotten so popular now, right? So
Hmm.
the concept of AI has been around for time being, and people have been using it at different rates. But what has changed in the past 20 to 15 years is that you can remember this, right?
Yes.
We had the internet came out about 30 years ago. Then the smartphone roughly 20 years ago. And what did the smartphone allow us to do? To put a lot of data into a small computer. You
Yes.
remember you remember years gone by when you had that floppy disk that was like 5 MB, right? And then
Yes.
you got those little sticks that were like 100 or something like that. But
Mm.
then when the smartphones came and you got those little microchips, you started storing almost anything on your phone. You're worried less about you're worried less about deleting than what you would have done when you had those little floppies. So
Yes.
you know, add a lot. Because of that now, over a period of time, we have a lot more digital data. That's important. You always hear to talk about AI and data. But we started getting a lot of data over the past 20 years, right? We're storing a lot of data on the internet. And you know that these systems were built scraping almost everything from the internet.
Yes.
What also changed is that the cost of storing got cheaper. And you can remember that the cost that you probably used to pay for a floppy disk, even though it was like 5 MB, now you probably can get an 18 megabyte device for less than that.
Less than that. Yes. Yes.
Right? So the cost of storage has gone down significantly, not just for these type of device, handheld device I'm talking about. I'm talking about companies in general having these data centers all over. You hear about Amazon, people think Amazon make most of their money from online shopping. No, they make a lot of their money from these data centers, from Amazon Web Services, their biggest business. Right? So yes, that is where when we move to cloud. Remember when cloud computing, that language around cloud computing came around about 15 years ago, everything is in the cloud. Yes. So I'm just giving you the foundation as to what help us to reach here. So first I talk about the data being accessible.
Yes.
Then it became cheap to store the data. So now every startup could have stored a lot of data, like scrape the internet and still be able to store that data, because it's cheap enough that they don't have to delete to put new information there. Then the third element that this is the one that you hear about when they talk about Nvidia being $1 trillion company, is compute, which is the ability to now process that data at a good rate. Right? You remember when you just got your first computer, how slow it was to even start up? You could have started
making all those funny sounds there.
that was the internet, but I get the
That's
point.
the internet.
You remember you could start up a computer and go put on your pot, and the pot would start to bubble up, and your computer wouldn't start.
Yeah. I don't
Right?
remember those. Yeah.
So yes, Nvidia started out by developing GPUs to help process computers so that they can play more video games faster, because video games normally require a little bit more than what the regular computers needed, right? Because it's dealing with a lot of different activities over a short period, right? Highly engaging. So Nvidia now, they are the primary producer of these GPUs that are used to process these computer systems. So now, then the fourth element that came about, even more recent, is then the development of these new algorithms. But in order to get those development of those new algorithms, SYLBOURNE, you needed those other elements, because if you never had those elements, how were you going to test these algorithms? So you needed lots of data, a cheap way to store it, and then you also needed a cost-effective and powerful processing power to process these algorithms. Because what's going to happen, we talk about algorithm, we talk about a set of instructions, right?
We're going to go back, and we're going to put another question at some point to define and to break down algorithm, but please go ahead, keep that same trend.
Simplest way to look at it is a set of rules, right? We operate a lot of times with algorithms, but we just don't think about it, right? When we're looking to cross the road, we look left and we say, okay, if nothing is there, we then look right.
Yes.
Then we look left again, and if nothing is not there, we cross. So it's if, then, what? That's all we operate as well, right? If, then what?
What?
Right?
Then what? So ladies and gentlemen, if, then what? Note that. Write it down.
Think of it now as having thousands of if, then what.
Yes.
Right? All connected. So it's not just a simple if, then you make a decision and that's the end. It's if, then you make a decision, but it's linked to another if, then. You remember when you draw those things where it says if, then it's yes, then no. And then if it's not no, then it leads to something else.
Yes.
It's just think of it as multiples of that. So now, if you're processing petabytes worth of data, with these algorithms having thousands of these
Uh-huh.
different decision points, you're going to need strong computational power to do that, right? To power through that data. Hence the reason why companies such as NVIDIA become powerful, because the more they can make these efficient systems, the cheaper it is to continue to develop these systems.
This is very interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you that I'm talking with Mr. Michael
Mhm.
Ramsay, of CEO of Talk AI Global, artificial intelligence expert, and we're going to talk about empowering of our people, how people can be empowered with artificial intelligence. But also at the same time, I like for you to um, be just engage in the role post. Those on TikTok, those on Facebook, those on YouTube, and those on Instagram as well. To any questions that you have, please share. And I've got Mr. Ramsay details, which is scrolling below. That's on the YouTube. If you want it on TikTok, you can also get that. So let's engage with this process. Please, Michael, go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I've given the foundation, SYLBOURNE, because I try to keep it as high level as possible.
Yes.
But the reason why it's important to understand that is so that people can understand where this sudden hype is coming from. Because people are naturally skeptical. Because when they think about it, 5 years ago, what the hype was? The hype was put your money in crypto,
Yes.
right? Then after the crypto bubble, then what you heard? NFT. And then people are like, many people were wondering, why NFT? What's so special? Then you had all of these social media influencers, people who said that they invested in Uber before it became a unicorn, or Facebook, etc. People with that type of credibility in terms of understanding investment landscape. They
Yes.
were pushing, well, musicians as well, successful musicians and other celebrities. They were pushing these NFTs, these what they call them, board ape, etc. So when you had all of these people pushing these things, many people lost money in the process. And when
Yeah.
people lose money, people lose confidence.
Uh-huh.
So now, when you see some of those same people now are the ones leading and pushing the narrative around AI, you're going to have a certain level of apathy towards it. Because people are like, this is just the next fad.
So they see it as a phase. So they see this
Many
AI phase, if anything.
many people, and the thing is, these are the people at the biggest risk of AI, to be honest, because as I said, there's a lot of that I have in terms of knowledge and where people are with AI, and many people at this observer phase, they are at risk because for them, they haven't even engaged in conversation properly to understand what AI is and where it is going. Because as I said, they have decided that, you know what, this I've heard all of these stories over the past 10-15 years. This is just
Yeah.
another one, right? And to be honest, when you look at what's happening on social media in terms of what AI is being promoted to do, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes what goes viral are the gimmicky things. So people are seeing AI and thinking, okay, it's making a funny video, right?
Yes.
So what they're not seeing is that most times AI, it moves in silence. Just like how the billionaires move in silence, the power brokers move in silence. Oftentimes, AI moves in silence. Meaning, you're recording this on TikTok right now,
Yes.
and their algorithm is connected to listening to this to pick up particular keywords.
And and
That
and
is
and and, and if we say anything out of character, any swearing or whatever, they will shut down the live because
exactly that is AI, right? So
yes,
AI moves in silence many times, Silver,
yes,
right? So people are, okay, oh, they're doing that. Some people were thinking, oh, they have people sitting down listening to every single conversation. No, there are
no,
millions of lives happening right now, right?
yes,
It's not efficient for them to pay someone to sit and moderate every single live. So what
yes,
they have algorithms that have been trained to listen to certain keywords, and those keywords have been flagged by their programs to say, okay, when these keywords are mentioned, they try to understand the context under which they have been said. And
Yes.
if they believe it violates the policy, which is a part of the algorithm, would say, okay, this is a policy, these are the keywords, and if it violates it, then see that's it. If if you say X, then I check if it violates my policy. Then if it violates the policy, I shut you down.
Yes.
Right? Then it can be more complicated than that to break it down to say, okay, depending on the severity, I take different level of action.
Yes.
So you see the series of actions, right? How an algorithm would work. So you don't need.
Yeah, so those are the silent moves that it is making at the same time.
Correct. But now, once you understand that if-then process now, right? Especially if you're at the early stage of understanding AI, you start to understand now why it can become a threat to your job in particular. Because if it is being trained now to say, all right, then, if this happens, takes this next action, right?
Yes.
Then it can continue to mimic every single thing you do. Because there's, as much as we like to think we're diverse, when you put enough of us together, there's patterns begin to form. Right? If you listen to me enough, you start to get a pattern in terms of how I speak. If you watch your body language, there's a pattern in how you position yourself.
Yes.
Right? Now, if I want an even better understanding of body language, I don't need to just watch your body language. I can then, this is where the data comes in, is look at 1,000 people. Look at 1,000 people. They have different type of posture. Then train my model to understand body language, right? So suddenly a system has been built, trained on thousands of people, and now we can communicate using natural movements, right? It learns that when something interesting is being said, people normally lean in. It learns that when someone is making an important point, they either raise their voice or they slow down. It picks that up through pattern recognition. That's the purpose of having so much data, right? Because it can then pick up those patterns quite easily.
So you know, as you're saying what you're saying, and you mentioned about algorithm and all this information, is like there's an information database. I'm not going to say overload, because overload is more saying that it's going to get overload. But is there a capacity? Where's the capacity that holds all of these information? If anything,
we are right there now. Many of these large language model companies, they've already scraped and gotten access to what they can get from the internet, right? So yes, we continue to produce new data, but new data is going to be monitored more tightly, right? As you see, lawsuits being produced, and some are being won now. So therefore, it's getting tighter in terms of access to new data. But what also happens in AI when you don't have data is that you have methods developed to create synthetic data, right? So if I need 50,000 videos, 50,000 videos an hour each, in order to make an effective podcast that can do all the action of human beings. But based off of what exists, I only have 30,000. There are methods developed where you can extrapolate the different behaviors and create your other 20%. And it can be an improvement. It's not going to be as great as if they had the full 50,000 natural videos. But these synthetic data have been proven to be quite useful, and they will continue to be more useful and get even better as more work is done in that area. And I can tell you, companies have raised billions of dollars into that area because they realize that this challenge exists now, where people are laws are going to come in to protect, and many are in already to protect existing data. So the
Yes.
companies are going to pay for the synthetic data so that they have more data to train their models, especially for nuanced cases.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, we will never get into the full intricacy of AI in the time that we have. And ladies and gentlemen, just want to say again, I'm speaking to Michael. I'm saying this because those who are on TikTok are not able to see Michael Ramsay. I'm with Michael Ramsay here. That's the voice you're hearing, AI specialist from Talk AI Global. And let me know any questions that you have. You know, we're in Black History Month for argument's sake, Michael. And I was reviewing Marcus Garvey sayings recently. And one of the things that
Mhm.
Marcus Garvey said, and I read it here. He said, this is no time for bowing and scraping and pussyfooting. It's time to let other fellows know that you're alive. And I think what he's trying to say, and what I'm actually saying regarding like even Black History Month, is moving away from building monuments and memorials, but see how one can be effective and strategizing. And that's why our discussion was empowering our people with artificial intelligence. Now, let's talk on this empowering our people with artificial intelligence because I see it's not going anywhere. It is
Why
actually here.
why you say it's not, what's not going away? The AI or what
AI,
exactly?
AI not going
Oh,
anywhere. AI is here. Whether we like
yeah.
it or not. Governments, policies, even the recent elections in Jamaica, they talk about AI. Right through the world, they're talking about AI. Even the UK,
Mhm.
they're talking about policies in regards to artificial intelligence. Some of them use it as a soundbite at the same time to show that they are engaging with that process. But the reality is that everyone is recognizing that AI is here to stay. So, what are some of the key things then that people need to be aware of, or how do we empower our people? And it's not just about Black people; it's about people. Period. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, you touch on Black History Month. So it is Black
Yes.
History Month in the UK in
Mm,
October.
yes.
In Jamaica, we celebrate Heritage Week. I believe the third week of October as well.
Okay. Okay.
And as you know, being a Jamaican as well, our first national hero is Marcus Mosiah Garvey,
Yes.
right? And one of the things that we learned from school days about Marcus, and we know that Marcus has influenced many great leaders that followed him.
Yes.
Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Barack Obama, right? But and what how we influenced them is because he spoke a lot about building the esteem of people who look like us.
Mm,
So he spoke a lot about developing oneself and doing that from both a spiritual as well as a financial position.
yes.
And he spoke about doing that in unity.
Mm,
So he spoke heavily about us working together to build something substantial.
yes.
Right. We have seen Silburn that how the world works is that as much as we want to fight and to do things that particular way,
Yes.
to get real change, you need to be in a position of influence.
Yes.
And to be in a position of influence, you have to have certain financial means.
Yes.
So now, what's one of the ways to get that financial means? Access to information,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, prior to the internet age, information was restricted to those who came from a privileged background. Then we had the Google, and what Google did was it helped to democratize information. So people who had access to internet could scroll and they could find information that is useful because
Yes.
Google helped to organize the information on the internet.
Mm,
Now we have something that is even greater than Google in that we have our own professors in our pocket, and that
mm,
is with these large language models. So yes, I'm not going to say that they have an IQ of over 200, But these models have moved from an IQ of 98 to 135 in 3 years.
Mm.
135 is considered above average IQ the last time I checked. So
Yeah.
if you have an above average IQ individual that you can have a conversation with about how to grow, what else
Yeah.
do you need? You might need someone like myself to tell you that, hey, get on Chat GPT,
Mm.
get on Claude. Or if you're on them and you're using them casually, for me to say, buy the upgraded version,
Yes.
get access to the other features. So when we talk about empowerment, is getting people first excited and understanding to why they need to not miss out on this train. So that is why I started a conversation around the foundation of AI, so
Mm.
people can understand exactly why the hype is here now and why it's not really hype. I'm excited to answer any particular question because that's usually where you get people to tell you what their reservations are.
And what you're saying also a while ago is earlier when you started, AI has been around for a while and we have been just walking into it and it's just developing and developing and developing. That's what
Correct.
you're and therefore
Correct.
and therefore you mentioned something about getting people excited. How do you excite persons then about AI? Kerry, P. Love, Monica, are you guys excited about um, artificial intelligence? The last time I think we had a discussion, one person was actually saying it's going to take away jobs. So therefore, we're talking about empowerment when some. Then at the same time, we're looking at disempowerment of people.
It's a bit of both. But let me
Yeah.
first answer the first question. It says, "Oh, we get people excited."
Yes.
The first way get people excited is to get them to start to engage with AI.
Yes.
It's very difficult to get people to be excited from a distance.
Mm.
Many people are tactile learners. They have to be doing something in order to understand exactly the value that it brings. Not
Mm.
everyone, it's only a small minority of the population that enjoys theoretical learning. Most people want to engage and see the output. I'm surprised when every day I find out that so many people still have not engaged a chatbot in a meaningful way.
Yes.
Many, they have asked it something and never liked the response and then they moved on.
Mm.
So I remember when I did a video and I posted a video and on the 5 levels of AI where people are at. And I was surprised how many people said that they were at the observer or the occasional user phase.
Yes.
Because I thought many people were exploring with AI on a more consistent basis, considering the productivity gains I can get from that. And I'm saying to myself, if these people are working for in a 9 to 5,
Mm.
many of them are in trouble if they're not willing to engage with AI.
I mean,
Because
yeah. Go on, Michael.
because if some of their team members are engaging with AI and they are not, then
Yes.
they're going to start to say it's nepotism or some other reason why the team members are being promoted.
Mm.
They're going to accuse them of things that they're not doing. Because these anyone who's using AI properly, they can get a lot more done than someone who refused to use AI doing similar job. It's a
Somebody,
fact.
somebody just said here. I think many people are wary because of AI because of the unknown. But this is where you are making it known, isn't it? What is it?
Is it where we are worry?
Wary. People are wary of AI because of the unknown. What is the
Mhm.
unknown there?
What is it in terms of what they don't know about AI?
Yeah, yeah. They said people are wary because of the unknown. It's like what you said earlier. There
Mhm.
was there was
Okay.
Bitcoin and there was different bits and pieces, and now they're going into this zone. And before you go there, I was with one of my colleagues the other day, and he wrote a letter, and I said to him, let ChatGPT review it, and he put it in ChatGPT, and he was like,
Mhm.
wow, he was just excited, man. He was excited, and he started to use the Chat GPT more. You know what I mean? And I said to him, "Oh, you need to sign up to it." And he signed up to it, and he said, "Wow!" He was like, Wow. He was
That
just excited.
I get that response quite often,
Yes.
Silburn, right?
Uh,
So I get that response, and that goes back to what I said in terms of people just engaging, right?
mm,
So now to answer the question regarding people being wary because
yes.
of the unknown, yes. So there is an unknown element. There are many unknown elements to AI, right?
Yeah.
One of the unknown is how does it work,
Yes.
right? Then once that is passed, right? The next one is will it take what will it have? What effect will it have on society?
Mm,
That's a broader next, right? Wary. But more importantly, will it take my job?
yes.
And what will happen to us as a people once we start to integrate AI into all elements of our lives?
Mm,
So there are many theories around what will come and when, but no one knows for certain. I can use my professional position and state some things, right?
yes.
And some of them that I will state, which are quite, I think, I guess to me they're obvious, but maybe not to others, is that I'm not going to tell her that many jobs are not going to be
Impacted.
removed. No, I wouldn't say no. See, I'm trying to select the right word, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, many jobs will be made redundant, right? Pun intended.
Mm,
So yeah, many jobs just won't exist anymore.
mm,
However, I wouldn't say that's the majority.
mm.
All right. Someone asking, is there an online introductory tutorial to AI that Michael would recommend? I'm actually
You have a book, isn't it? You got a book on that, isn't it, Michael?
no I yeah yes, I'm releasing a book on the introductory part of AI.
Mm,
The two books that you mentioned, they're more for business leaders. So I don't know if the individual is a business person. The first one, AI for business leader, it does give an introduction.
mm.
It does give an introduction. It does give the definition on AI, and it helps up the person to move up the ladder.
Yeah.
But the other book that I recently put out, Silburn, is climbing the AI ladder, which is
Yeah.
showing people how to move from being a observer straight up to becoming a builder with AI. At a builder level is where you start to now look to make money
Yeah.
from AI.
But would you? But based on Eric's question, but is there a book that is recommended like for someone who is just like a new kid on the block and just say
That's the one I just said.
that's the one? Yeah.
Yes, climbing the AI ladder by Michael Ramsay.
Okay. Oh, that's the one that of yourself. Okay.
Yes,
So
right. So
therefore,
now,
Eric, email that email there that Michael has, and it's on Amazon as well, isn't it?
it's on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah. We put it on Amazon. It's on Amazon. I
Yeah.
believe it's probably only the ebook copies on there right now. We should put the paperback quite soon.
Right.
Making some changes to paperback. So it's on Amazon.
I'm getting a lot of questions there. Someone just said there's also an environmental impact. No, they're saying there is also an environmental impact on the use of AI. Can you elaborate on
Yes,
that?
that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
So you remember when I spoke about NVIDIA in the
Yeah.
conversation in terms of processing power, right?
Yes.
So right now, many of these large language models, they are operating at a loss, Silver,
Yes.
because they these systems, though I said computational power, the cost has gone down.
Yes.
The cost of these systems are still quite inefficient.
Yes.
So what they're relying on is a high adoption of AI in order to become profitable.
Mm.
So yes, there's an environmental impact because the power that is being used with to generate these systems, it has to come from an original source. So
Right.
therefore, if we're using regular means of powers and these power sources are not sustainable, then trying to use more prompting and use these systems more can have a negative effect on the environment from that perspective. But hence the reason why companies like Nvidia, etc., they have raised a lot of money, and people are watching them so closely, and government is pumping money into companies such as these because they want them to become efficient, so that we can get rid of these conversations before they start to dominate. Because it's quite extensive, the use of power that they're generating, but it's not being talked about because we want to switch the conversation to the positives. But
Yeah.
these companies, Silburn, they are losing money. And that's, to be honest, that's why I said to you, and that's why I said to people that part of the hype and overhype in AI is deliberate, because some of the larger players, they need a high adoption of AI quite early before they run out of investors' money. Because if they don't get that money,
Yes.
they don't have enough to do R&D to continue to build more efficient systems.
We're going to touch on what are some of the key jobs that your forecast is going to remain, and those going to be on remain. There's someone on TikTok say, Melon, they say AI helps maintain, or AI helps to make online shopping and banking easier. Um, and how do we use AI for us and not against? How do we use AI for us and not against us? I don't know if Monica can explain that, but do you understand that? How do we
Yeah,
use
I think
AI?
no, these questions are related. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Basically, it's asking how can we make AI for good instead of for bad, right? And that's an ongoing debate. Governments have a huge role to play in this, Silburn, because
Yes.
when you're thinking about developing super intelligent systems,
Yes.
if the wrong person is behind the development of these systems, they can use um, they can basically use these systems to control how we behave and operate. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, many of these companies, they are commercial companies, and their objective is to make as much profit as possible.
Yes.
So therefore, they have an incentive to get us to spend more.
Yes.
And how do they get us to spend more sometimes, especially like on the internet?
Mm.
They try to get us to stay on the internet longer, to stay on these devices longer. Then they have creative ways of harvesting our data so that they can tell us what we want to hear in order for us to buy what they want us to buy. So now, AI systems, they are the ones doing this. But when they develop this super intelligent system, they are going to become even better at it. So now, how are you going to know a decision that you made was really yours? You might buy a program, you buy something online, but did you really want to buy it?
And it's like when you're speaking certain things these days, and everybody can actually attest to this. You're speaking on something, and you're thinking about, not thinking, it doesn't go into your head, but you're thinking on something, and you talk about it. Then all of a sudden, Facebook and your phone start to generate these different messages
And,
or
and you
highlighting.
start to wonder if it's listening, right?
Yes.
I can tell you, they're not. It's not listening, but
Oh. Mm.
but it's harvesting a lot of data that makes it almost close to as listening as possible.
Mm.
Because if you're thinking about super intelligent beings or super intelligent devices, right? It may not need to know just your data. It can just know, okay, who is close to you.
Mm.
And by looking at remember, I know we're connected, Silburn, right? What
Mm.
you're talking about probably is what your miss is talking about as well.
Mm.
That's probably what someone else close to you talked about, right? We already know that once you type something into Google, you see the ad come up because of the cookies. You see the ad come up on your Instagram, and come up on your YouTube.
Yes.
You search something there, and suddenly the ads are related. So the more data and the smarter these systems get, is the more they can start to use micro pieces of information about you to understand exactly what you're going to do next. Because a super intelligent
Mm.
system is a super intelligent predictive system. Because remember, you're here to talk about prediction. So you're saying it's mind reading, But remember, even these LLM are super predicting systems, you know.
Just like
Now,
a predictive text, for argument's sake. Even
exactly.
even,
But
even on a minor level there, yes.
exactly. But now, when these, and remember, we have recommendation systems, because you go to Amazon
Mm.
and Amazon tells you. You go to Netflix and it's suggesting things based on your
Yes.
data.
I think you
So
like this.
now,
Yes.
these people, as I said, if they harvest enough data on you and these systems become better, it will be able to can pick up and say, okay, it's the 15th Sunday of the year.
You should
Normally, people like yourself do a particular thing. And then suddenly you're like, how it know that? But it looked at and it said, boy, you know what? You fit into that particular category because it is processing so much pieces of information about yourself and people like you. So it
Yes.
knows that, okay, on the 15th Saturday, that maybe it's in the middle of summer and people like yourself like oxtail and chicken. So now you see an oxtail ad come up and you're like, oh, it knows that you're feeling for oxtail. You never even said it to the computer. Right? You never even said it this time, so it's no longer listening. You're starting to say, thinking like yourself.
Michael, there was a film which came on recently, the last Mission Impossible, and the last Mission Impossible was somewhat about AI as well. It was that AI thing was wanted to control the world or something like that. And you mentioned that key point there about AI, the persons who are in control, and then let's go on to this whole thing called digital ID, for argument's sake. You know, when you have something that takes full control or have access to so much information, a lot of AI is going to be involved with that, isn't it? To a certain extent.
A lot of AI is going to be involved. And I'm pausing because the thing is, it doesn't have to be, but in order to make it effective, AI can make it more efficient. But that same data can then be used for AI purposes to do a lot of harm to individuals, because now you're collecting more sensitive information on people.
Yes.
So yes, you might have a particular objective in the beginning, but by having access to that information, it's it can be manipulated by the wrong people.
Well, it is just like that film with the late with Will Smith. I think it was Independence Day or so. Or I forget, with that guy who died, and the girl said at the end, "Who is monitoring the monitors?" And the key question is, who is monitoring these key things? Because as someone says, you can use it for good, or you can use super good, and you can use it for super bad. And I think that is where the issue is, whereby people are feeling somewhat that they are going to be heavily monetized, heavily monitored. I don't know. It's good having this conversation, and having this conversation is opening our minds to the pros and the cons. I mean, I don't know if you are in a if you can give cons of.
I think we touch on some cons, but I think we haven't touched
enemy of the state. Yes.
I don't think we have touched on enough positive, because we touch on the cons, right?
Yes.
Because I know people are usually aware of the cons, but it's good sometimes to start with the cons so that people. It's because I'm an optimist when it comes to AI. I talk about the cons so I can connect with people so that they realize I'm not coming and ignoring those concerns.
Yes.
And I want to stay on point, so that, because there are probably other questions related to the cons that I haven't touched on.
Yes.
But the cons, many of the cons are real. Some of the risk of AI, it's real, but a lot of it won't be materialized. So when you hear I talk about some of these larger companies, and you see I get into that narrative around the fact that they're loss making, it's connecting to the fact that I'm saying that some of these fear mongering is deliberate, but the fear isn't real. in the sense that what they are saying is going to happen, most likely is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But they need you to do that. They need to scare governments. They need to scare governments so that they can control policies, so that they can benefit their companies. They need to scare governments so that government pump money into their businesses. They need to talk about these hype so that they get investors money. So a lot of the fear around certain things not real. In terms of, is
Yeah.
there going to be job displacement, SYLBOURNE? I touched on it and
Yeah.
I said yes.
Yeah.
However, in the intermediate, you're gonna have certain amount of job displacement because the system is going to be able to can do quite a bit of those repetitive jobs, and you're seeing companies right now, especially the larger companies, they are doing those replacements. However, it's not necessarily getting rid of roles in totality. What's
Yeah.
happening now is that there's going to be a new norm in terms of expectation from people. So when I think about it, SYLBOURNE, I haven't been long enough around to when people used to do office work with typewriters or with book and pencil and no computer.
ASDFJKL semicolon. Yes.
So you're doing it. Yeah.
Type it.
Engineer. But what I know, SYLBOURNE, is that over time, the expectation from an individual has grown as technology has advanced. So what you could produce maybe 50 years ago, 40 years ago as output for a day's work, it has changed. When you have the internet, when you have the email, when you have the smartphones, the expectations has changed. So
Yes.
what is going to change now in the age of AI is that when a company implements AI into their system, they're going to say, you can't tell me you spend 2 hours writing an email. Give me an email and they want it in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Right? So now you now have an additional almost 2 hours to get some other stuff done. So what's going to happen then is that now, instead of having maybe 20 people on staff, maybe you're going to move to 15. Some companies are going to look at that. Some are going to say, let me keep the 20. However, more people are going to do different type of roles that the AI system can't do, will never do, or can't do right now. So many companies need to have people selling products, right? Oftentimes, a lot of organizations set up now have a lot more people processing things in back office and less people being relationship heavy and engaging with people. Now, you're going to find a shift now where more people are going to be relationship heavy because you don't need such a big admin staff, right? The middle manager don't need to have a secretary, right? He has a secretary in his pocket, right? Maybe just a CEO might still need to have his executive assistant.
Yes.
So now, from the finance team may not need so many different people in all these different departments or sub-departments within the finance group. They might still need people to do oversight, but some of those grunt work that you normally have people there doing certain things, you won't need as many of them.
Yes.
So the finance team that was once 20 is now 10. 8. Right? So but some of those people now, they can move to a role that is a lot more nuanced. Right? They can move to roles that are a lot more nuanced. This is what is going to happen. It's not saying it's happening now, but it's going to happen over time. Someone asking another question, but yeah. So that's what's going to come. But in that process, as I said, SYLBOURNE, there are going to be roles that are more difficult to replace. But you also know, this is even the bigger positive. There are also going to be roles that we have imagined that are going to be created. Right? You remember I talk about creating synthetic data?
Yes.
You're going to have people in that industry, right? That's jobs being created. Right? Now, you're going to talk about now from a medicine perspective, right? There's so much potential from a medical perspective. How chemotherapy is being done, how cancer is being treated now in the modern age, that can improve significantly. Right? A lot of modern ailments that we have, people won't be passing on from some of these things so quite easily.
Yes.
Because we're going to have preventative medicine And the cost of preventative medicine is going to go down so significant. So you don't have to reach that mature age before you get on a panel to say, okay, you need to do these tests. Some of these tests are going to become so routine, like you're in your 20s and you can get a full panel and get a complete understanding of what potential you can get based off of your exposure, your genetics. And then you're gonna start to have no personalized medicine. Because remember, in a SYLBOURNE, we're all different,
Yes.
Because if you think about almost any food, someone is allergic to it.
Yeah.
Right? Almost anything, some weird stuff, you probably want water alone. You see you drinking water there. I don't know.
Yeah.
What people are allergic. So what I use that to say is that our makeup is so unique. And
Yes.
oftentimes, if you and I are sick, it's the same pill most times we get.
Yes.
You know that both of them are having the same level of effect on both of our bodies. Now, think of a world now where because of AI, this pill is for you, SYLBOURNE.
Yes.
You have these set of pills knowing that when you get an headache, you're going to take that pill. And just like that, no more headache. That's the world that we're living in. People are going to focus more on these essential jobs that can help us to live longer. Yes, over time, AI is going to... Yes, so some of those, as I said, so what's going to happen with that is that AI is going to be heavily involved in that, but there are going to be elements in those jobs that still require people.
It is very interesting, and it's a very exciting world because, as someone had said earlier, it will help you with the shopping. It will reduce the time that you do certain things. But if we look at some of the, let's look at Mike Eric said. Let's see what Eric said.
Says, does Michael believe that there are consequential cons? Example, job losses and inherent cons. Example, who edits the data we get to see, or who determines what is newsworthy and which is most worrying. Okay, so Eric, you're asking in terms of the concern regarding who is making these decisions behind these systems. I believe that's what I'm getting from this question in terms of who determines what is newsworthy, which is most worrying. So yeah, I have that concern in terms of the development of these systems, because
Yeah.
these systems, just like how when you do your prompting, you give it personas. If you have realized that these systems can be developed with a particular persona in mind, and therefore the individuals behind these, they can have about a positive effect on society or negative based on their objective. And this is where I'm usually not big on big governments, right? I can tell you I am for, generally, I don't talk politics, but this is policy wise, I'm for minimal government intervention, generally speaking. But when it comes to AI, I am for government intervention quite early. So we need to have policies in place to regulate who can do what with our data. And some of that exists already because we know about GDPR. But we need to have policies in place in terms, and we're leading the EU AI Act. We are leading in that space in Europe. But ongoing policies need to be created to ensure that these systems are for the benefit of society. And another element, right? So we're concerned about that, yes, and I know it is used. And as I said, the EU AI Act takes care of some of those things in terms of putting in guardrails depending on the level of risk. The other concern now is that we're going to have job displacement, especially from people who decide that AI is not for me and I'm not upskilling with AI.
Yeah.
The policies that I expect to see is that we continue to educate the public to make it so difficult for them to ignore why it is important to upskill themselves about AI. That is what we sorry, SYLBOURNE, my live is about. I have a live on TikTok as well,
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
it's going for the
it's,
hour.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Yep. You have to match. You have to match the
Yes, I'm matching. Yes, yes, you know it. So we're at that. Oh, you're the TikTok expert. Um, so where was I now? See, I lost my train of thought a
Yeah.
little bit. I saw
Yeah.
a question come back in.
No, I think what's
Yeah,
what
yeah, no, yeah. I was talking about the policy, right?
yeah, policy, yes, yes.
So so policies now around upskilling, right? Making
Yes.
sure that when some of these companies make this excessive profits from the gains from reduction in terms of having certain number of staff, that this money goes back into upskilling individuals so that they can continue to be productive and useful to society.
Mm.
Because when AI starts to do many of the mundane jobs, you're going to have a proportion of a population that needs that type of support, both financially and
Yes.
also in terms of getting the right skills. So the policies that we're going to need to continue to monitor is to understand the environment to say, okay, which skill we need to get to these people, right? How many people we need to start to go to school now to study business degrees, for example, right?
Right.
So now we have a lot of people, it's one of the most popular degrees, right? Business, accounting, marketing. So now, quite soon, actions need to be taken to say, we can't really have these schools start to take less people for these programs because we're currently facing a crisis now in SYLBOURNE. It's quietly happening where interns, new grads, they're finding it more difficult to get jobs because
Mm,
many of those jobs that they normally get, people are doing it with AI.
mm.
So now policies need to come into play now to say reallocate more money to people go and study engineering, to go study nursing, to go study those more in-demand skills instead of just going and studying marketing because Facebook, Meta, all of these companies now are integrating marketing into their platform, AI into their system so much, so
So
that
mm,
anybody who is using these platforms can just push a button and get a good understanding of their customer profile
yes.
and can make their sale once they have good products without needing a marketer to give them all of this information.
So what you're saying then, Michael, a while ago, is that some of the jobs that will remain are like engineers, nursing. That's what you're saying there, isn't it?
I am saying that
Yeah.
yeah, these are the jobs that will remain in the near future,
Mm,
right? So the jobs in healthcare, many of the jobs in healthcare will continue to thrive.
mm.
The jobs that require us to sit around a computer for most of the day, those are the jobs that are the greatest risk. If you want to understand the jobs at the greatest risk, is a job where you sit around the computer for most of the day, Silver. It's not
Okay.
all, but it's a good way to kind of classify the jobs that are most at risk immediately. So when you think about a nurse, when you think about an engineer, right? There's a greater balance between being on a computer and being on the floor doing something else,
Yeah. Yes.
right? So that's something to consider there. But we need to have those policies and those conversations quite early. Universities are not going to do it in a SYLBOURNE because universities want the income from these intake.
Yes.
So, but we need to have the conversation to say we're not saying that these degrees are useful or useless, but what we're saying is that we need to reallocate the space and the attention for certain courses because you're going to produce a lot of people now who are going to come out from university, can't get a job, and then you're going to have a lot of people behaving in radical ways because they're now frustrated that the system has failed them.
I see.
And
I
that is
see.
where
I yeah. I see something whereby down the line, down the horizon, whereby I don't know. It's like some sort of. You remember iRobot? Remember that movie, iRobot, with Will
yeah,
Smith?
I remember iRobot.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
remember that Sonny blinked, and they were saying that after a while they're gonna have these iRobots, but it seems like the people are all gonna be iRobots or something like that because they won't be needing any sort of computers or robots because people somehow be pushed aside, and lots of people are gonna feel dejected, rejected. Somebody just said a while ago, I just put this question like, where's the best place to start with AI, seeing that it is so vast? Where's the best place to start with AI? Because I believe if my children stepping into the world of work, stepping into the era of university, one need to guide them and say, let's look 5 years down the road. 5 years down
Best
the
place,
road.
the
Yeah.
best place to start. Let me just go straight to that
Yeah.
Silburn, right? We can take the questions as they come.
Yes,
So
please.
the
Yeah.
best place to start is to get on these large language models, these chatbots,
Chat
right?
box.
The chatbots, the Open AI, Chat GPT, Claude.
No, you said bots. You said bots. B-O-T.
Bots, BOT, right?
Okay.
The best place to start is to start having conversations with these AI models and move away from just asking them for a recipe to cook rice and peas, right? Start to ask them tougher questions, right? Learn how to use them better to get useful outputs. Don't just dismiss it because you fail to learn how to use it, so you get wrong output. Learn
Yes.
how to distinguish between good output and bad output, right? A simple thing you can do is that ask it a question and tell it to give you 3 different versions of the answer. And then after it gives you those answers, ask it, do a force ranking. Tell it to rank those answers.
Yes.
So you start to learn. Once you start to practice that, to force it, you start to learn to not just take everything it gives you. And by learning to use not just ChatGPT, but sign on to Claude. These are free. The free version I'm telling you to start with if you have never used them before. If you have used them, it's worthwhile paying for another level, right?
Yeah.
But using the different platforms, ask questions, ask quite interesting question, copy the information to our next one, and ask it to evaluate this answer and be critical on it and give it the pros or cons of the response. Or tell it to rate and said, okay, this is you take the question and the answer from another chatbot, give it to our next one, and say rate this answer on a scale of 1 to 100 on 10 different variables. And then
yeah, go on, Michael. Yeah.
When it give you that rating now, right? You can evaluate it and see exactly. You can force it to be more objective.
And I want to say on a practical level, even with myself, I think the last time we spoke, you had a gentleman who came on and was talking about how the AI has helped him. For myself, for years, I've been doing interviews from 2015, and I had someone, fortunately, she's not around now, but when I had her, she used to formulate all the different questions and do all the different research. But now these days, all I got to do is put in my chat GPT or whatever like that to say, I'm going to be interviewing Michael. Tell me some more about Michael. Give me some key questions or so like that. And it will set out some sort of stage. Of course, I don't just take it and just accept it. I sort of review it at the same time. But I've seen where it has helped with the level of time in my preparation for my discussions and my shows as well. And I think that is something really powerful about artificial intelligence.
It is Silburn, all right. And the reason why I said start there is that if someone decides to really use it long enough, they'll start to find utility in their lives. So we talk quite common about writing an email, but it is beyond writing an email. It's access to the type of information that you can get. So for example, a lot of times I see online where people make these posts and they say something about, oh, save this prompt, right? And people just, okay, they need that prompt in order to learn how to use AI. Or to get a particular output. Yes, some of those prompts, they can help, but as individuals, you can learn to prompt better. You can even ask the AI to say, give me a world-class prompt to cover a particular subject. And then you use back that same prompt, right? So let me tell you. So let me give you some quick information that a team can use in terms of when they're using these systems, right? So I tell you about 4 to 6 of them that you can use when you're doing the prompting. I talk about one of them already in terms of the ranking.
Yes.
It's important when you use the systems, most time when you're asking it something, to give it a persona, right? So, for example, you're going to ask it some questions. You can say, You are a world-class interviewer. You can even call a famous person name if you wanted to give you the questions in that person's style. You can say you're a world-class. So when you tell it it's a world-class, you kind of play on its ego. You tell it has all these qualifications. You give it a persona. That tends to help you get a better output, right? The next thing is that you need to be clear on exactly what you want it to do, right? You want it to summarize. You want it to give you 10 questions, right? So be very clear on what you want it to do, right? So then the next, so that's 2, right? Persona, clear on what you want it to do. Next one is that ensure that the context again is clear. So you're going to do an interview. So you're telling you're going to interview Michael Ramsay, and he's a AI strategy expert. So when it gets that context now, when it's asking the question, it's going to ask the question that it, in the context that it is speaking to an AI strategy expert.
Yes.
However, if you want to be even greater in terms of context, you can say, my audience is this set of people, right? They're from a particular age group, a particular background. Their knowledge on AI, from my understanding, is at a particular level. Now, give me the questions that they would want to learn more about.
Can I stop you for a second? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Michael Ramsay here, and I think this is very crucial. And let me know if you're finding this helpful, because this particular point here, this area, I think is very crucial and very empowering, where we can actually take this to another level and move with it. Please continue, Michael. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So you'll be very specific about what you want the AI system to give you as an output, right? I'm just talking more about when they talk about this prompting. I'm telling you different elements, right?
Yes.
So the next one now is structure, right? You want bullet points. You want it to give you a summary, how many bullet points you want, how long you want it to be, right? You need to be very specific about that, right? You want a paragraph, you want 5,000 words, you want 10,000 words, right? If you expect what you want is 10,000 words, and you know that this output is capped at 1,000, in your initial instruction, you can say, I want you to write a 10,000 word response on a particular subject.
Yes.
However, because you know the limitation, you're going to tell it to do. But I want you to break it up into 10 different responses.
Okay.
Right? That way you get a continuous thing instead of trying to say, boy, the only thing this can give me is 1,000. Right?
Because,
and then have to start over.
Yeah. Because I do note with GPT or the different ones that if you set something out and you say, okay, let me have 10 suggested hooks for a particular thing that I want to post on TikTok, and then you come back and say, do you want me to make it shorter? And then I say yes, and then after a while it comes and say, do you want some hashtags? And I say, hang on a second, how did it know that? And I say yes as well. And it's like it just formulates everything right there at the same time, which I find very helpful. So it is like it has now trained itself, Michael, in a way as to my thinking and what I want.
It's because it knows it's a prediction machine, so it knows exactly what most people are going to ask for next, and it knows what you're missing. It knows what you're missing. However, that sometimes is a problem, which is why I'm stating this, breaking down that 10,000.
Breaking it down, yes.
Right?
Yes.
The reason why is that if you don't do that, after the first 1,000, it's going to start to ask you about something else. And it's losing context every time. So you want it to keep the context. The more you can get it to keep the context consistently, is the better your response. Right? So that is why I said in the initial prompt, you tell it you expect a 10,000 word response. So then you tell it it's giving you in 10 different outputs. So then you can even give it a range, because you don't want to necessarily say exactly 1,000, because you want it to be able to flex in its writing. So you may give it a little range. But then you're going to say to it now, in this particular case, SYLBOURNE, you just tell it, say, okay, I will tell you when to go to move on. So now it give it a 10,000, bam, then you tell it next, then it give it the rest, and it starts and it continues. Now you have 1,000 pieces of information. You stitch them together, and now you get one big thing. A lot of people don't know that. They think that, okay, it's max out at 1,000 and or whatever limit it has in a single prompt, and then they struggle to keep the context, right? So that's a good thing to note. The other thing is that you need to tell it the style within which to write, right? It's a professional or tone. You want a professional tone. You want it to be casual in its response, etc. Right? I'm going to touch on building your custom GPTs because it is great for that, right? If you have the paid version in Chat GPT, you build your custom GPTs, and you can build, for example, your own email writer. So therefore, every time you have an email to write, you can just tell it what you want and it writes it in your style, because you have taken all these things that I talk about and you kind of use them to build a GPT. That's every time now when you go back, it knows exactly how to do it in your style.
Right.
And this comes to the other point, SYLBOURNE, is that if you want it to write in your style, you need to show it copies of your style.
Okay.
So now, if you have written 10 emails, copy them and put them in and say, this is my style. Always write like this for me. Right? If you built a custom GPT, you don't have to remind it. You're occasionally going to have to remind it because it loses context after long conversations. So you might have to occasionally remind it. But I can tell you.
Okay, so you got to sort of keep it in line, if anything.
Keep it in line. But if you do a GPT, you don't have to. Right? Okay. And the paid version, to some extent, it can continue to do that. But the more you use it for other things, the context tends to tie to recency. So the further away you get, the short answer is that yes, in 5 minutes it can.
What you mean that question that Eric asked?
Yes, Eric. I'm sharing free game. Go to lovable.com. Go to lovable.com. No E in lovable. Yeah, 1 E, not 2 E in lovable. Go to lovable.com. Sign up to it and build your own website and share it with us the next time we come on screen. It's going to take. Use ChatGPT to give you the instruction and tell it that you want to build a website with Lovable. Tell it to give you the prompt to write to Lovable. You're going to tell it exactly what you want the website to do. And you're going to have a website built. You're going to see it build. Then you're going to go and drink some coffee and then you come back and you're going to have a website that is looks good on the surface and can do a lot of things. Some of the back-end connection, you're going to need a little work there, but you're going to have a beautiful website that you can then play with and get an expert, or you can use ChatGPT to figure out how to do the back end part of it. So
is that Lovable?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, that's really helpful, guys. This is really very empowering, and I think it is actually taking people into another level, taking away the fear and taking away the unknown. Someone was saying the unknown, we're making it known. Yes. On my
I want most people write down that website, right? Because we talk a lot. I talk about the fear or whatever and the different contexts. Then I save that for the latter part, right? And I really save it. Eric asked me and he just come up and say, you know what? Yeah. If someone else had asked a question about something else and I had it on the top of my head, I would share it here as well.
Yes.
Right? We say empowering our people and they're leaving with that. And I can tell you, if they decide to really sign up to Lovable, they're going to come back to your SYLBOURNE and they're going to thank you that they came on this live October 4th. Because I gave them the fear. I tell them some of what is coming, but I'm also telling them use this to make some money with AI. Get on the ladder, right? Remember we said the ladder has 5 tiers. At the 5th tier is the builder tier. That is where you start to make money with AI. I'm talking about now where you start to build your own product.
And that's what we call is that digital tools to a certain extent at the same time.
That is correct.
Right. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's really powerful, Michael. That's really helpful.
That is what I want. That is what I want my people to start to do, to move to builders.
Yes.
So instead of just sitting down and saying AI can't do this and AI whatever, this is where the money is being made. People are using it to do these things, but hear what? They're selling you the product, they're not telling you how to do it. Or what I just gave you, you'd have to pay for a course to get that. Yeah. That is where they said DM coaching.
You know, I was reading Marcus Garvey bit and this is really spot on. Of course, in the tone at that time where it says Negroes do not want to beg jobs. Negroes must demand jobs. That is all there is about. you must demand jobs in the proper way. So what he's actually talking about empowerment in a sense whereby, of course, we can take out the Negroes bit, but at that period of a time is about empowerment. And what we're doing now is this about empowerment whereby we can create jobs, we can create. We are not tenants in a way. We're actually builders. We're owners of our space at this time in this Black History Month. Please, Michael, yeah, continue. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Silver. And we
Mm,
come full circle to come back to this point, right? So
yes.
yes, not everyone is naturally entrepreneurial, but we
Mm,
have to face the reality that the world that we're living in is changing,
mm,
and we're living in an environment where many of us are going to be forced to create our own and control our own destiny.
yes.
For many, it's scary. For some, it's liberating. But for almost all, it's a reality that we're going to face. In
Yes.
that you either get on the ladder and learn to take control of your destiny, or you wait on someone to see if are they going to reduce staff to 15, or are they going to upskill me and send me to go and do sales or some other relationship job.
So what
So
you're doing, you're sitting back and waiting for someone to
no,
determine
I'm not saying I'm telling them not to do that. What I'm
exactly,
saying is
exactly. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
get on the ladder, right? Understand the game. And I'm saying if you want to stay in your job, because you might have a very cushy job and it's doing quite well for you, or the company is growing and the product is amazing, and now you can use AI to make it a better experience for the customers of that product. So now be that person who is indispensable, because now you can use AI better than the average person. You know how to work with AI. And this goes for almost any job.
Yes.
If you have a mindset enough, right? And that's the biggest barrier right now in Silburn, which is why I started the conversation to say we move to this age now where we have a tutor in our pocket, right?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't want to veer into school, but a quick analogy is that a lot of us go school, many of us left with nothing, many left with good information that they got. A big part of it is the mindset of the individuals.
Yes.
My granny used to say you can't force people to water, but you can't force them to drink. You
Yes.
can force them to river, but you can't force them to drink. Right? You can force them to well or whatever the analogy was. But
That drink.
the point is that you can give people information, but if they don't absorb and then take the action, then they're
Yes.
going to consistently be complainers. They're
Yes.
going to say AI is here to take job, and instead of taking an action to put themselves in a position that they're in the winning side, or they're
Yes.
in a side that can influence other people, they
Yes.
remain powerless. And that is why when you say you wanted to talk about Marcus Garvey, I never hesitate to do it, because Marcus Garvey
Mm.
talked to us about regaining our personal power.
Mm.
And a lot of times we give away our power to other people by saying they control our destiny and we don't have the autonomy to do anything with our lives. And I believe as our people, we need to work on that.
In Marcus Garvey, they said a Southern woman who joined the UNIA said, "Garvey is giving my people backbones where they had wishbones," and that is something even so resonate even today, in the sense whereby, like what's happening in the UK now, whereby people are talking about the Reform Party and people are feeling that they're taking away certain things. My message all the while is get in there and to create your own space. Get in there, create your own space, because all of these persons out there, they are creating their own space. And if we give them that space, then you're actually giving them that power. So what you're saying, Michael, is really powerful. This teaching, as a matter of fact, I consider it a very powerful teaching what you have given us tonight. And I'm gonna definitely put this up on my not
Mhm.
my TikTok, my Spotify. I'm gonna upload it on my Spotify as a dialogue that matters. I'm on Spotify, ladies and gentlemen, where you can watch it on Amazon Prime as well. I think this is really powerful, Michael, and I think we have tapped into something, and I think we can, as that lady said, take my people with you, take our people with us, with us.
You know, One of the final thing I'm gonna say,
Yes.
Burn, um, is one of Marcus Garvey's famous saying, or was
Yes.
made famous by Bob Marley's famous song.
Mm.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Yes.
None
But I
but
was.
ourselves can free our mind.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're touching on here.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
believe that you can't do anything to improve your life in this
Mm.
age of AI, you are in mental slavery because you're living in that information access age where if you go on chat GPT for the free version, you
Mm.
can change your life if you're willing to spend enough time and ask it the right questions. You can become a builder. You can start as an observer and move to a builder within 30 days of consistent focus. But
Yes.
what it takes is the removal of that mental block.
And to
The
be very
willingness, the
intentional.
willingness to regain the personal power, Silburn.
Mm.
That is what it takes.
Yes, and to be intentional. I never forget when somebody said, if you got a smartphone and you're not making money out of it, it's a dumb phone. We just say, because of how things are now. Listen, Michael, I mean, we were supposed to stay for about a little bit of 1 hour. I mean, I think this is really helpful. And what's your last word? How do you, what's your word then to persons who want to actually get on board and say, listen, I think you're doing some classes or something like that. Is it Michael? You know, some course, some
Um,
sessions?
yeah, I'm doing quite a bit. So
Yeah.
if they go on Eventbrite, I think I'll share the link with you.
Yes.
So I am doing a Climb the AI Ladder daily series
Yes.
where every day for 20 minutes for free, I am moving people up the AI ladder. So for the entire month of October, every
Yes.
day, including Sundays, it's 12:30 to 1 p.m. UK time. So for half an hour,
Yeah.
20 minutes to half an hour, I
Yes.
have a conversation and I give practical tips on how to move up the AI ladder. So I'm doing that for free during this month. There are 100 places. Some have gone already because I started on Wednesday,
Yeah.
but your audience can sign up and they can come and have a conversation or listen to what I have to say there.
And when you say the 100 places, is it per day that
No,
the 100?
no. You sign up and you one sign up give you access to the entire
Right.
month.
To the entire month. Okay. So the details of the eventbrite.co.uk
It's there.
X climb the AI ladder, you know, daily practical
Yeah,
AI.
you have the link there. You probably have to copy it and share it. If you go to Eventbrite and you type in
Yes.
Michael Ramsay or type in the name of my company, Talk AI Global, you'll find
Yeah.
it. Or you search for Climb the AI Ladder Daily
Yes.
series, you will see it. All
And of
right.
course, if anybody want to reach out and get it from me, there's my details there as well. You can get the information there for myself in regards to this program that Michael is doing, and of course, the book, the okay, your detail is there as well. People can email Michael
Or
as well.
they can go to my social, they can go to my social on any other social media platform and
Yes.
click on the link and have one of those links that show you all the different assets and where you can find me. So I'm happy to take any question that anyone the on the call has. And yeah, so if you have any particular question that you want to learn more about AI, I'm happy to have a quick email to give you some practical tips on how to better use AI going forward.
Fantastic, Michael. That's awesome. That's really great. I'm much grateful. And of
I
course,
maybe not be able to do meetings.
yes,
I do meetings, but at first we can have an email. I'll definitely respond to every email, every text
mm,
message. For meetings, I am usually quite busy for that amount of dedication,
Yes.
because I'm doing this at no cost. But any email, any questions, I'm glad to reach out for you. And when we have those sessions, that's when I volunteer my time. So any questions you have there, I'll definitely take them. And if I can't
Yes.
answer, I'll be willing to email you privately, and we can set up something if necessary.
That's great, Michael. That's great. And of course, we're going to finish off now. And of course, I'll go over onto TikTok and maybe spend about 30 minutes over there as well. I've
Okay.
got a lot of comments. A lot
But
of
did
comments.
we cover everyone's question? Because as I said, I love to
Yeah.
ensure that people feel like
Yeah.
they're being heard and not just talked to.
Yeah. Look at the questions. Some of them have been duplicated.
Okay.
Uh, this is definitely aligning with
Just
empowerment.
okay.
Lovable.com that mentioned there, predictable text. Yes. Yes, very helpful.
You can
Uh,
any question that wasn't answered, Silburn, just message me
yeah.
them,
This is you.
and
Yeah.
I'll share the answer, and then you can probably share with your recurring um viewers on next time.
Yes. All right, Michael. I won't keep you late. um, have a smashing night as well, and much appreciated for coming on, and really enjoy. As a matter of fact, I've actually took some tips myself, which I'm going to maybe have sleepless nights tonight going through
Yeah,
some things.
I saw you taking the tips, which would prove to me that the information was useful to you and the audience. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm happy to be a disciple of Garvey. So
Yes.
sharing information and telling people that it starts in the mind, and the information is there for you to go out and build.
Mm. And one of the books that I've been going through a lot is
Are
one
we
of
still
the.
live?
Yeah, we're still live. We're still live. I'm looking at the selected writings and speeches of Marcus Garvey. That's a book which I've been using, and each time I go through it, I stop at a particular point and I don't move for a long time. I just absorb that bit there, just like the bits that I've been talking about, which is really powerful. But yeah, okay, Michael, I'm gonna sign off on this one and just leave the TikTok there. That's it. Anything else? That's it. Yeah, I
So
can.
that's it for today, Silburn. And thanks
Yeah.
again for having me. I really
Mm,
enjoyed the conversation, and I hope your
yeah.
users, your viewers, become users of AI, and they take away something practical from this conversation
Mm,
as well as
mm.
inspiration.
Yes. Michael, make sure Silver and put the check in the post.
Yeah,
Eric. I know Eric, and Eric, you need to send it to me, and then I can pass it on to Michael. you know,
Eric
but
needs to send one too, because I'm pretty certain the reason why he was quiet is because he's unlovable building some website.
Eric, I think he has maybe built it already. Maybe he has built two so far. That's why.
Yeah. I'm interested to know what he did with it. So
Yeah.
keep me posted there. Silburn, again,
Yes.
lovely talking to you.
Yes. I
Michelle said this was a great help, and I learned a lot. I've been thinking differently now about AI. I'm happy to
and
hear that, Michelle.
I said I know why I know Michelle, and for her to say that you have actually made an impact. Trust me.
Really? Okay, that is quite positive. That has made you have made my night, Michelle. I'm happy to hear that I changed two lives. Is it two? Probably more than that, but yeah. So it's
Yeah.
good when I have these conversations and I get feedback like it is motivation for me to continue to spread the word. It
Yes.
means that people really absorbing what we're sharing, and I'm looking forward to what your viewers build in the future. So
Yes. Yes.
do keep in touch, guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you climb the AI ladder.
No problem. No problem. Michael, thank you very much, and have a good night. Yes.
Okay, take care.
Cheers. Cheers, sir. Cheers, sir. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining tonight. I'm just going to wrap up now, and very empowering discussion with Michael Ramsay. Michael Ramsay, of course, is the founder, CEO of Talk AI Global, helping ambitious business unlock six-figure value through strategic AI implementation. He speaks on strategy for business leaders, the future of work with AI, real world AI use cases, and why I'm, he said, let's deliver a standard conversation your audience will remember. And I believe this was very empowering and powerful. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I really believe in. I really believe in that, in this Black History Month, We need to be able to be builders. We need to be creators. We need to be innovators. We need to be strategists. We need to be positioning ourselves in society in different respect, and not to really um, operate like we're tenants, not to operate like we are beggars, you know. And as I said in the book of Marcus Garvey, which I'm looking at, one of the key things he said, I want you to consider, we've been talking a lot of thinking about our slave masters and so forth, you know. And when he said, there's no time for bowing, there's no time for scraping, there's no time for pussyfooting. It is time to let other fellows know that you're alive. And when he said other fellas know that you're alive, I think he put out an applause there. Other fellas is to know that you're alive. That is different from your, you can let other people know that you're here, you're there. But there and here could be that you're unalive. But let other fellows know that you are alive. And that is powerful. I've been stuck on this particular words for the past few days, and it's just resonating. And each time, because I realized that Marcus Garvey and the teachings of Marcus Garvey, it is not just about where he was born in Centon, like the Garden Parish of Jamaica, not the fact that he was a great black man, not just building a memorial, a mausoleum, not just building a what do you call it, a monument, not just building a memorial on the greats, but actually utilizing the words that they spoke and let it become effective and to become intentional in our lives. I want to thank those who are joining me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to go on TikTok for just a few minutes or so. If anybody want to come up live and let us have that discussion. Peace out and God bless you. Bye bye. Thanks.